Hey everybody, Waddler-D here. This is a new Let's Play, as you can imagine, and we're going to talk not so much about Xseed and Felghana, but where it came from, basically. The historical references that we need to touch upon before we even begin this game, because, as you know, this game is a remake of the original ports, and I'll tell you this, out of the remakes that I've experienced in my lifetime, this is easily one of the best. So, before we even dive into this game, I want to just talk about where it came from, and how this game is extremely well known in the Wii series, because, damn, this game has been ported to 5, 6, 7 different systems, and it still has not really seen any true good make of it, basically. It's just been through a bunch of hell to get to where it is now. Oath and Felghana is where things get to be turned right side up, and you get a really wonderful product. But before we even begin talking about that, we need to talk about the story's relevance here. For one thing, this game is part of a very long adventure RPG series that Falcom is the developers of, that's been pretty much working with since day one. And this series has been around for a very long time, at least 1980s, I can tell you that much. And because of this series, it's nice to see that they really finally hit their mark on this one particular game. This game that has been essentially a bastard child of their series. It's just been a huge stain on their reputation in some respects. But before we even go on that note, we need to talk about the story's relevance. This story's relevance is based on an epilogue of the events of Ys 1 and 2, where Adol and Dogi did their part to save Ys, and basically get on with their lives. It's basically just following what happens to them after the fact. And what happens is that this story starts to touch upon Dogi, who's kind of a mystery at this point. You don't know a great deal about him. However, you know, this is where you learn, hey, he had his own roots. He didn't live, like, around just wandering and beating the crap out of walls and such. He's actually had a home to go back to whenever he could. And this is where Ys 3 kind of diverges into. It's not so much Dogi's story. It's still Adol's story in a sense, but it's Adol learning more about Dogi as a character and friend. And the thing is that the original content really didn't dive deeply into that. It showed that Dogi was a really boring character that just punched walls for a living. So he was kind of like your other half. I don't know. It was a really weird depiction of Dogi back in the day. So I think that's where some of the things kind of fell downward, but at the same time, what can you expect from a really old game? I mean, dialogue has not really didn't really shine until, like, say, the PlayStation era, where everyone was talking, everyone was getting their voice acting in. Here is more like, yeah, just play a game, man. Don't care about the control or like what's happening. Just go through it, enjoy it, have fun with it. And in some respects, yeah, you can try to have fun with it, but take a look at the video footage and get an understanding of why this game might have issues. To begin, we notice that this game is a 2D adventure platformer. The thing about this is great is that the first two games were pretty much a top-down perspective with the most simplistic battle system known to man, bumping into your enemies so that you can cause physical harm to their body. However, the problem with this is that pretty much you understood the gameplay and it just became a bout of grinding. Here, you actually have to perform some sort of skill to make progress. However, that skill was a little non-existent. Just take a look later on and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. However, the thing about this game is that this game is said to have one of the best soundtracks. However, since I played the Super NES version, you're not probably hearing it too well here. If anything, I've heard that the Super NES version has one of the worst representations of this soundtrack. If you want to get a really good really good intake of such, you should probably listen to the PC Engine soundtrack, get a really good idea of why people really like this kind of music in this game, because damn, they really tried there. I don't know what happened here. I mean, the Super Nintendo has a really good sound chip, but it kind of just fell flat on its face. However, it's still well represented, and that is catchy, and it's simple to hum to whenever you need to feel like it. That's pretty much the good stuff. The bad stuff is that this game has really strange difficulty, and I do mean strange, because for one thing, as you saw, we were able to blaze through that room without taking a lot of damage. Here's what happens when you get out of that first room. Too fast, anyway. See, you frickin' died really fast, because the enemies seem to have a lopsided difficulty attached to them. You meet some small weak-ass enemies that you can grind off of for a while, and then you go outside in the world and get your face beaten in by a goblin with a club. What a great way to start off a game. That's the thing that really irks me throughout this SNES playthrough of this game. If anything, it's just like, damn, do I have to just find a spot to just sit down and grind for an hour? And tell you what, that's pretty much the answer to a lot of problems in the Ys games. You sit your ass down somewhere. Luckily, in this case, you can put a rubber band on the Y button and then just sit there, let the enemies run into your sword, and you level up from that. That is pretty much Ys 3 in some respects. That's kind of why I don't really like Ys 3, because you have to do this or else this kind of crap happens. Yeah, that looked like fun. Beating on something for like, I don't know, a minute or two just to get past them, because if you happen to run into that slime enemy, God forbid your lifespan would be pretty much destroyed, because I didn't show you the part where if you run into him, you lose about half of your bar, if not all of it. It's really fun to know that the game's trying to challenge you in the dumbest ways imaginable. So, but that's not all. That's not all. The other thing about this game is the really wonky controls, game mechanics, and the fact that you have the menu switch, and I do mean menu switch, when you're in a boss battle at times. It's really questionable. So take a look. Now you guys know why I have mixed feelings about this game. However, the SNES version is not the best representative of this game. If you want that, I would suggest either the Genesis version or the PC Engine version. I heard those two have the best qualities of the games that have been released. Maybe the PS2 game? I don't know. It's hard to say. However, let's go over the reasons why Felghana does great things for this game that sorely need to be remade into something better. For starters, it is a 3D adventure platformer. Enough said. They kinda needed it, honestly. Another thing is since we're in an age where storyline becomes a lot more important in most games that are RPG based, it's been vastly improved and provides many characters with purpose, personality, and the dialogue is definitely with more substance and emotion. That's always good, trust me. Gameplay is greatly improved, Because the controls are now sharp, there's more invincibility frames that the game sorely needed. And there's an arcade feel to the game where it doesn't require you to go into your menu every 5 seconds to switch rings over and over again. In fact, the rings don't even exist in this game. You'll see what I'm talking about there. Music is vastly improved over the original. I cannot say anything for that because you need to hear it for yourself to understand how much it's been made to be magnificent. Because of the 3D aspects, level design is much more intricate, basically. There's a lot more room for exploration. It's not such a left to right kind of thing. And that was always a great thing, because for one thing, you couldn't really miss stuff unless you just didn't look, period. Here, you're actually going to have to start hunting and pecking a little bit. Granted, it's not that much, but it's still something to say. It's like, well, damn, I didn't think it'd be hidden right there. So that's one beauty about this game as well. And grinding is a very small staple now. And if anything, skill, strategy, and your reflexes are the #1 things that are going to be deciding your boss battles or anything in general, really. So, if anything, the items that you find, the skills that you display, and maybe the levels being high enough. I mean, there's anything, stats are the least deciding factor in how you beat a boss, because if you screw up against a boss, you're gonna die anyway. So that's the beauty about that. So that's one big particular thing with me too, because trust me, the fact that you have to get yourself up to like level 40 to even stand a chance against like the 5th boss is kind of ridiculous, honestly. Last but not least, this game is with far more replay value due to the 6 difficulty settings that you can choose from, and the additional note that you can go into once you beat the game. There is a lot more reason to keep playing this game after you get done with it. Once you got done with the Use 3, you were pretty much with a game. A finished game, but it's like, oh, well, So, please, take this game into consideration. And the goal of the Let's Play that we're going to be doing is that I'm going to play this game on the hard difficulty and provide solid strategies and methods of how to beat the bosses, mainly, and how to get through the areas with some life intact. And of course, we're going to also show the similarities and differences of the SNES version to the remake, since that's the only one I really played, start to finish. Also, I'm going to relate the gameplay from the Nihom Falcom to other recent Ys games, like Ys 6, the Ark and Nemesis, I hope I said that right, and Ys Origin, which these 3 games have similar game engines. However, there are stark differences between those game engines to make it seem a little bit more, I don't know, unique. So that's another thing, note. And last but not least, I'm going to offer samples of the SNES soundtrack so you can compare it to the music in the remake, because that is a good guide of seeing how much this music has been improved. So that's pretty much what we're going to be doing with this Let's Play, and I appreciate your time watching this video and understanding a little bit more about why I'm so happy about this game and why you should probably play it for yourself. So thanks for watching. Join me for the next video, and we'll see what goes on from there. Adios.